Welcome to the Coach's Show. My name is Coach Stewart. I'm here today with the incomparable, incredible, amazing Coach Clifford Terrell, the wrestling coach extraordinaire who's done some incredible stuff for us this season. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk with him and see what all, he's about. I don't know enough about wrestling to, really speak intelligently, so I'm going to leave it up to you. Coach, tell us just a touch about your season.
Sure, thank you so much. So I teach science at Lawson, and then obviously I coach wrestling as well. We had a very successful season. Wrestling is one of those sports where you don't really receive a lot of media attention, but yet it still is one of the most toughest sports on the body, mentally. So for Lawson to be able to put this limelight on wrestling, it not only means a lot for myself, but also the athletes involved, and it makes them want to participate and makes them feel important. So I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, one of the things you're going to find out about us here, and this comes from Dr. Schaefer, Coach Froden, athletic director, everybody, is we're trying to make sure every child that contributes to the culture of this school, that spends those extra 3 and 4 hours a day. I mean, let's face it, some of these kids are working as hard as we are. We want to make sure they get shine, they get love, and there is literally no corner of excellence that we are not going to exploit at this school. And at the end of the day, you guys had an excellent season. We're extremely proud of you. I mean, it's amazing. And I don't know, I got to give it a round of applause. That's
Thank you so much.
Anytime. Look, give me a little insight. You had the guys I know, Cam, Luke, Henry.
Right.
I mean, you had some major players this year. Expound upon that. Tell us what happened.
So we had a lot of clutch moves this year, even from some brand new wrestlers. I'm afraid to shout out some individual names. I don't want to forget any because they're all important. We all play. We're all play a small part in such a big team.
Right.
And if we're missing one piece of a puzzle, we're not the same, right?
Exactly.
But we done some great things. I was nervous in the district finals because last year in the district finals we got upset. We lost a really tough match last year. So this year, my friend.
If I may interrupt, was that the MLK night?
Right, MLK night.
Where you guys were slapping the kids around like ragdoll. You were nervous that night? Okay,
Yeah.
I shot that night, so that's why
I was nervous that night.
I wasn't nervous, but all right.
So my friend Ron Quay, he's the head coach at MLK. We came up in high school at the same time, so I know that he's very knowledgeable. I know he always comes with a solid team, a large team. I know that every weight class on his team will be filled. So when I saw their team, I'm like, oh no, we can't lose again in the district finals like we did last year. But no, the energy at home from the fans were amazing. And it was a short notice match as well because of the snow. That pushed everything back. So we weren't supposed to have district finals that week. We really delivered. We won every single match but one. So everybody showed out. I saw wrestlers come back from adversity. And I always teach my athletes, right? Like, yes, I want them to be great wrestlers, right? But it's bigger than that because life's not like wrestling, right? Life's going to knock you down. It's going to try to stomp you out. So it's up to you to get back up and not feel sorry for yourself. Because nobody else is at the end of the day.
Amen. So what I'm hearing from is you've had, when you think about it, two historic runs, because what you had was the last year of Hillwood district championship run.
Yes, sir.
And then the very first year of James Lawson. I don't know if you're aware of this, but no matter what, when they go back to the first year and they list the wrestling coach, it's Clifford Terrell.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? And so to be able to not just be the first coach, but to be the first coach of consequence, it's pretty major. I mean, how do you feel personally? I know you're the coach and you got to give me all the coaching things, but this is the Coach's Show. We can talk real to each other. How does it feel to go down in history as the last in first and to be making waves as you do it?
Honestly, I'm honored and it's humbling at the same time. I feel like the athletes knew what was at stake as well. So we really all kind of gave it our all this year, and it really showed. We had first-year wrestlers that I honestly thought was going to medal in the state tournament. I'm going to shout out Caleb Emerson. Never do I ever have high school wrestlers pose any problems for me when I wrestle them, because I wrestle at a pretty high level.
Right.
Caleb is a strong kid. I mean, he had me sweating, he had me breathing hard. I'm like, man, you have the opportunity to medal your very first year of wrestling. and I see him do some great things. He wants some big matches for us to get some very skillful wrestlers. And you already know Cam Shields, first year wrestling. I know he wrestled around a little bit in middle school, but that's...
Well, okay. So, Coach, I have to tell you, I was at senior night, district championship. Cam Shields comes out and wrestles, and his match was so fast that I had to ask. I literally asked a young man, a wrestler on your team. I was like, "Why was that match over so fast?" And he was like, "He pinned him 3 times." I think that match lasted, 1 minute? I'm not trying to put down who he wrestled, but it was about 1 minute. I could have literally used that match as the highlight for the show, and we would have been good. I mean, it was that complete. And you mean to tell me that that's just 1 year of training with you?
It's 1 year of training. Yes, sir.
That is fantastic.
I appreciate it.
So let me ask you this question. Where do you see the future of Lawson Wrestling? Because you have fully created a masterful first year.
Thank you.
Where do you see Lawson 5-10 years from now? Wrestling and science, should you choose to.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. This is just the beginning. Honestly, the team is so young. And then we have so many good up-and-coming wrestlers from our feeder schools as well, that the sky's the limit. I don't only see us being the powerhouse in Nashville, but also the powerhouse in Middle Tennessee. And we're going to shock a lot of teams. You know, I think, honestly, going back to those feeder schools, making ourselves present as coaches, helping out with the practices, that's how you really build a program, right? By the time they get to high school, you want them to have a stronger foundation already, so that way you can kind of fine-tune those skills, right? So I think getting in those middle schools, HG Hill, Bellevue Middle, as high school coaches, letting the athletes see your faces, building a relationship with them so they're not choosing to go to those private schools, because we offer just as much as they do. Easily. I think the sky's the limit.
I agree with you. You know, one thing I have to say, we play Fairview. I'm a girls soccer coach. We play Fairview. And basically that's all one campus, the high school and the middle school. So those girls are training with their middle school coach, watching their high school girls play. They play on the same field, watching the high school girls play. The amount of loyalty they have for Fairview High from Fairview Middle is next level. I think it'd be very hard to pry those girls away from their community schools. That's what I'm hoping we as coaches are trying to help foster. I didn't realize how much a bigger deal being a high school coach was over a middle school coach. And I'm not putting down middle school coaches. I'm saying I didn't understand how much more power my voice had as the high school coach, and how many of the younger kids that want to play soccer and they know I'm the soccer coach will come up to me and, start a conversation and say they want to do, this, that, and the third. So you hit the nail right on the head. I do believe it is part of where we are going as a culture to develop our within the realm of the rules, our youngers, and help them, A, come to Lawson and build the Bellevue community, but B, also become the excellent student athletes that we are definitely trying to develop. Coach, you've been simply wonderful. Is there anything you want to leave us with? You don't have to, but if anything you want to say, the floor is yours.
Oh no, I appreciate everything that Lawson has done. Just for the team, like I said, we don't get a lot of media attention as a sport. So just the fact that we're even having this interview and highlighting the accomplishments of those hardworking athletes, I really appreciate it. And I know they do as well. And for sure.
Hey, Coach Terrell, thank you so much for coming to the Coach's Show. We love you. Come back anytime. And we mean that. Come back anytime.
Absolutely.
Anytime, Coach Terrell. You come back. All right. Thank you so much, Coach Terrell. All right, folks, and now we're here with the man I call the Godfather, Coach Bishop. I call him the Godfather because he knows everything, all the ins and outs about the sports. He keeps me clean. He really does. And that first year, literally, my first year as a high school coach last year, I appreciate all the advice, all of the, just how to how to navigate your ship through the minefields. That was Coach Bishop, because I guarantee you I was completely oblivious. So Coach Bishop, ladies and gentlemen. Woo-hoo!
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. All right, now Coach, look, let's face it, you're obviously a really good girls basketball coach. You keep getting these girls into these deep district runs and these deep regional runs year after year after year. And if you have not coached on any level, you don't fully understand how much of a challenge that is. So Coach, just talk to us a little bit about your program, your approach, everything you have going on, because let's face it, it's a successful program and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's 5 years. This was the 5th season, so I came at the same time Coach Froden did, and both of us, kind of taking on these programs and trying to, put our mark on them and kind of change direction, and really it's just developing that culture. And we've worked really hard over these last 4 years getting set up, and as you mentioned earlier with Coach Terrell, wrapping up things at Hillwood and then starting things at Lawson. It was a tough, last year inning. We had some players that were the beginning for me coaching at Hillwood, and there were a lot of questions to be answered. But in moving over to Lawson, also created this new vibe, this new energy that we brought in there, and the girls have really bought into it. A lot of them haven't necessarily played a lot of basketball per se. They're multi-sport athletes. They're high academic. There's a lot of different areas that they're putting their energies into. But the one thing that they've all done is to try to raise the standard of our program. And we have 3 pillars that we kind of operate off of. One is kind of in the community, which we kind of cater as, how are you in the classroom, in the halls, and out when you're not at school. Mm-hmm. Also the classroom, and then finally the court. And those are our 3 core pillars. And the girls have really bought into that. They've really learned to hold each other accountable, mm-hmm. and really make that, and that translates into the game for us, because now the same expectations are falling on the outcome of games, whereas when we first started it wasn't there. And so, mm-hmm. now we've really gotten to watch that change, and then the switch to Lawson just accelerated all that energy and put us in a whole nother another level with that. And watching that happen has just been awesome to see, watching the buy-in, the accountability, the discussions they have, where they want the program to go, and just seeing that buy-in from them and hearing it from them, so they have a voice.
Mm-hmm. Completely awesome. I think one of the things I notice about your program and your girls is they know you're tough but fair. They definitely know you're not afraid of making the hard decisions. And we've got to talk about it. It wasn't the district championship game. It was the 3rd place game, which was going to get you into regionals. And as I understand it, there were a couple of players that should have started that game, but apparently made some decisions that didn't quite agree with you. Let's just put it that way. And tell us about that, what led up to that. And just talk about it, because I think it's awesome, and it is coaching.
Yeah, it's always tough as a coach, because you're being measured on wins and losses in a lot of people's eyes. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, these are high school players that we're trying to grow them up and mature them for the next phase in their life, whether that's playing or if it's college or is it raising a family or a job. Mm-hmm. And that leads you to some tough moments. And to kind of get you, basically, yes, there was some team rules kind of violations that we'll leave out. They weren't bad, but the timing wasn't good. It really set the wrong tone for us, and we just had to make a decision. And so ultimately decided to not play 4 of our starters in that game. Didn't tell them how long it would be. I said it could be a quarter, it could be the whole game. I said we'll decide on the fly, and a lot of that will be determined on how do you support those that have been supporting you all year.
Right.
Because ultimately it wasn't that's who's being affected when you violate team rules. It's everyone else that was following those rules, and so it was quiet, but no one really pushed back on anything. When we got there, I was telling the other coaches, I said, well, probably going to go one of 2 ways, and so if it goes one way, y'all probably have a new head coach next year. But we just didn't know how the girls would react. And the girls that went out and started the game, I told them on that practice the day before that they were starting. They were excited about it. They came out. They played hard. They really, they set the tone for us with their effort that night, and they really taught the lesson to, the rest of the team, because they got to see these girls out there really fighting hard, knowing that there's something on the line, and you're not out there helping your team. And so it was kind of a neat thing to see. And literally in the second half, it's like we were shot out of a cannon, and we scored 46 points in the second half. We're down 31-9 at halftime.
Wow. Wait a minute, you're now what?
31-9. Scored 4.
How long did you keep them on the bench? I've got to ask.
No, they were benched the entire first half. And so, I was even starting to question whether or not that self is like, did I cross the line or not cross the line? But they came out, they played super hard. We got back into our normal rotation and really played to our potential. And that's what we talked about after that game. I said, look, it may have started with something that was a negative, or you feeling like you're being punished, but it really was probably one of our biggest growth moments in the 5 years I've been here. It was the one time that we embodied playing together as a unit in the way that we've been wanting that to happen for 5 seasons. And to see that happen, and for them to be able to go back and see that on film and be part of that and see what happens, you can't deny. We talk a lot that there's no such thing as luck. It's a glimpse of your potential. Exactly. Now, how hard are you willing to work to have that be how you play game in and game out?
To fulfill your potential.
And I can sit here and design practices all day long, but you can't replicate what we got out of that. And we've seen that as our season wrapped up, just the number of players wanting to do stuff in the off season, find teams to play on. Mm-hmm. They're already talking about their goals for next year. The seniors have already had a meeting. They had a meeting less than 12 hours after our last game. Things like that without any kind of coach prompt. And so we believe all those things are tied together in kind of the buy-in to our culture, but then also just that identity that we finally got to see a glimpse of.
That is really an amazing story. I don't know that I could have gone down.
I don't know if it's quite amazing.
No, it's amazing.
High risk, high reward.
Very much so. Because probably about the time it became 15-9, Coach Stewart might have made a different decision. But I really do respect the fact that you stuck to your guns. It is sometimes hard to give that discipline level. I teach I coach both club and
yep.
Lawson soccer, obviously. And one of the things that happened in our fall season was so many girls did not take the fall season seriously that the other girls that came up underneath them did, and they won starting jobs out of that. I trust them. I know you're going to give me that 100%. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So when you have a situation like that and you don't want it to be in the playoffs, hopefully, you know what I mean, everybody's gotten the point before then. But when I think about the level that Lawson girls basketball can go, having seen you sit down who you sat down, and having some of those girls come back next year and be like, yeah, so like coach isn't playing. Just because he's not yelling or just because his face isn't red, he really means what he just said. We've got to, step together. That is a wonderful building block for the next year. One of the things that I talked with Coach Terrell about, and it seems like it's almost the sermon all of us coaches are preaching now, is the middle schools, what we're getting from the middle school, and how we can sort of have something of a thumbprint. We're entirely too busy to coach the middle school team in our own. There's just no way that's what we're asking for. But I think what we do want, or what we would love, best case scenario, is what we're looking for in a player, seeing at least the seed of that being planted in the 8th grade girl coming up into 9th grade girl. Talk about that a little bit and what you're doing in that area to sort of ensure that.
Yeah, we've continued, and to be honest, in full transparency, when we started out, we said we're not ready to go out and talk yet because we didn't have a product that we felt was supporting what you're saying.
Right.
And so we had to get there. And in those first 2 years, we love those players. They come back around, we talk, but they'll laugh and say it was a tough transition. Mm-hmm. But here we've been able to go out, and this was a first year, especially with Lawson, that we started seeing those kids showing up to the game on their own, coming up and I'm gonna play. Coach, is number 10 available because I want to wear number 10 next year. That approach, and that's something we haven't had.
Right.
Also seeing the successes that both of our basketball programs have had and at the same time is something that hasn't existed in a long time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of easy to be up and down in those emotions. And now there's consistency and there's growth and there's a vision. And I think they're starting to be able to see that. I think that not an intentional pressure, but I think that the middle schools are going to be forced to say, hey, we've got to all work and do our part to figure out how are we handing off these student athletes in the best way as they go through, elementary school to middle school on to high school, and then hopefully even further. How do we do that? How do we get them excited, waiting for that to, celebrate their 8th grade year and the successes they had, but be super excited about the opportunity that's going to be right around the corner with the high school that's right up the road. And that's super exciting. And the people coming in, they see who you are, and they see us in our Lawson gear. And now, there's no more worried about is everybody going to know who we are. They know who we are, and it's like, they know the school that we've got, the facilities that we've got, and ultimately now they're seeing the character of the players that we've got. And I think that goes a long way. I think Coach Terrell hit on that. Everybody is repping in some way. Nike used that a few years ago in the tournament, saying still repping. We talk about that because it's like, are we repping all the time? And it's like that's something that's super exciting. And I think we're all unknowingly part of this transition to a future that we'll all probably be gone. When we look back on it, though, it's like this is the beginning of planting those having those roots take place, and that's super exciting.
That is massively exciting. What's interesting is, as I sit back and reflect on it, because Lawson really wasn't done. My soccer field I don't think was done yet. The basketball court wasn't done yet.
Yeah.
So all of us camped this year at Hillwood. And the crazy thing that I saw was football, soccer, volleyball, basketball on some level. Everybody was back at Hillwood for this first year. I'm almost of the mind frame that I would love to camp every year at Hillwood. But the only reason why I do that is I treat the soccer pitch as sacred, and I don't want you stepping on it if you're not on the, what I mean?
Right.
You guys are way more open about the basketball court than Coach Stewart is about the soccer pitch.
I don't know that we are. We just don't have a choice.
Well, let me.
There's a difference.
Yeah, that's true. Let me just say, I would prefer, especially in season, out of respect for both the programs that I have great respect for, and I owe you an apology, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. I would love to see you guys have, that exclusive ownership. It's beautiful. It is a beautiful venue. I think it is one of the most beautiful high school venues in this state, easily. And I think you guys definitely have earned, in my opinion, a bit of exclusivity. Should you choose to flex it, sir? Let me also get to this apology. I owe you an apology, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell everybody why. I'm extremely defensive about my players. I do not like to share at all, okay? And it wasn't until maybe halfway through the girls' soccer season I had to say to myself, what the hell am I doing? What the heck am I doing? You know what I mean? It's Brad Bishop. Yeah, of course. Take this kid and mold her and continue her on the path of being a great student athlete. I never really see bad kids at your program because that's just not how you roll. So I apologize for the headache because I definitely was trying to keep my player just playing, soccer. But I would say to any middle school girl that is coming to Lawson and wants to try out, you are not guaranteed, but wants to try out to play for Coach Bishop. And if you're a soccer player as well, once again, you're not guaranteed to play for me either. But if you make the team, you can be with no better person than Coach Bishop and our shared assistant coach, Coach Jackie Hathaway, because she's everything for me.
The magic behind the scenes.
I mean, plain and simple. I mean, she's just amazing. So I will say that to anybody that wants to learn next level basketball the right way, team basketball that I think is going to make you marketable to college teams. I definitely see both you and Coach Froden do that. I am on the bottom rung of that ladder as a high school coach trying to create girls that could get that as well. So I want to apologize to you for all the headache of that early on.
No.
That'll never happen again.
All good.
And, that's it. Listen, is there anything you want to leave us with? Parting gifts on your knowledge, Godfather? I'll kiss the ring,
Yeah, I think it's great that we have this opportunity to talk about our programs. We don't get to have that kind of voice a lot of times. So it's a great thing that you're doing, that you and Coach Froden have set up for us to be able to come in here and have these kind of conversations. And the greatest thing is you look at football, you look at cross country, you look at volleyball, go down, all the sports that have participated this year have all done well. And they've done well with a lot of youth in there. And so the way I look at that is if I put my coaching hat aside for a minute and look at it as a parent, so I got the ability to come in and impact a program like this. It's already doing big things like right away. And, and it's like break away from the norm. It's easy to say that things have been in place, but, as they say, the phoenix rises from the ashes. We have that same opportunity here with our athletic programs. I think we're in a great position to welcome all of those newcomers and just continue to grow the students, athletes that we have, and just super excited about what that's going to look like for our future. I think that it's going to be we're going to be a force that's going to be consistent, and we're not going anywhere. I don't think anybody's going to shy away from the fight, and we want to be able to go out there and do it, but do it in the right way. And I think that all of our coaches are doing that, and I think that we're going to feel the rewards from that.
Definitely.
So super excited.
Well, look, Coach, it's been wonderful to have you here today, and thank you for supporting Coach's show. This is something we're going to, keep having. I don't know what the summertime looks like, but I know we're all doing something in the summer, coaching wise.
Yep.
So I want to thank you. Congratulations on an excellent season.
Thank you.
That was pretty awesome, and I wish you nothing but success in the future. All right.